Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a clash of titans that has been echoing for over 2,000 years. I'm talking about the monumental debate between a legendary teacher, Plato, and his most brilliant student, Aristotle. And believe me, their disagreement wasn't just some academic squabble. It fundamentally shaped how we think about reality itself. Just to give you a sense of the scale we're dealing with, check out this quote from the philosopher Alfred North Whitehead. His point was that for more than 2 millennia, pretty much all of Western philosophy has just been one long reaction to, or a conversation with, the ideas first laid out by this one guy, Plato. So that begs the question, right? Who in their right mind would dare to challenge a thinker that foundational? Well, it wasn't an enemy or some rival from another city. It was his own star pupil, Aristotle, a man who spent 20 years studying at Plato's own school, the Academy in Athens. Okay, so to really get what Aristotle was rebelling against, we first have to understand Plato's world. We need to dive into this radical core idea that's at the heart of his entire system. You see, Plato is what we call a philosophical idealist. He believed that this world, the one we see, feel, and touch, it isn't the real world. Not at all. It's more like a shadow, a flickering, imperfect copy of a higher, truer, and eternal reality. He called the blueprints of this higher reality the forms. So for Plato, every physical tree you've ever seen is just a flawed imitation of the single, perfect form of a tree. What this means is that you can't actually trust your senses to gain real knowledge because they only show you the flawed copies. The only way to get to the truth is to use pure reason to grasp the perfect forms themselves. But Aristotle, well, he saw things very, very differently. Let's get into his powerful rebuttal, which basically brought philosophy crashing right back down to earth. See, Aristotle was an empiricist. For him, understanding the world wasn't about looking away from it to some other dimension. It was about looking directly at it. He argued that knowledge doesn't start with pure reason. It starts with what we can see and hear and touch. It all starts with observation. He kind of thought Plato's whole theory just made things unnecessarily complicated. I mean, why invent a whole other realm? For Aristotle, reality is right here, in the individual things, or substances as he called them, that are all around us. The form of a tree isn't floating around in some other dimension. It's right there inside the actual tree. Now, this whole philosophical debate was captured brilliantly centuries later by the Renaissance painter Raphael. Right in the center of his masterpiece, The School of Athens, you see the two of them. Plato is pointing up, toward the heavens, toward his abstract realm of forms, and right next to him is Aristotle, gesturing down to the earth, the world we can actually observe. It's the perfect visual metaphor. So here's the crucial divide, right? You can think of it as a difference in direction. Plato starts from the top down. He's got this grand theory about a perfect world, and he looks for echoes of it here. But Aristotle, he starts from the ground up, gathering observations about this world to build his theories. And you know, this fundamental disagreement in their philosophies didn't just affect their ideas. It completely changed how they wrote. Their work has a totally different feel. Reading Plato is like listening in on a brilliant, really challenging conversation. His dialogues are dramatic, witty, and a lot of the time, they end without giving you a clear answer. And that was his whole point. For him, philosophy was this dynamic, living process of questioning, not just a list of facts to memorize. Aristotle, on the other hand, wrote like a scientist, laying out a proof. His works are incredibly systematic. He'll start by defining his terms, then he methodically goes through what everyone else has said on the topic. He lays out his arguments step by step, moving logically toward a conclusion, and he even anticipates objections. It's less like a conversation and more like a masterclass in logic. But, and this is a huge but, it would be a massive mistake to think they were total opposites. Despite their profound disagreements, what they had in common is just as important. They were both completely convinced that good and evil weren't just a matter of opinion. They believed there was an objective moral truth out there. They both agreed that reason was our greatest gift and that living an examined life was the ultimate human goal. They saw virtue as the key to a happy life and believed that a good person and a good society were totally intertwined. And yet their core disagreement about where to actually find that goodness created a debate that honestly echoes to this very day. Aristotle took a direct shot at Plato's ultimate concept, the abstract form of the good. His argument was simple but devastating.
What's the use of a perfect idea of good if it's so separate from our world that no actual human could ever achieve it? For Aristotle, ethics had to be practical.
And this leads us to the final, crucial question that their debate really leaves us with. Aristotle thought so. He believed you could figure out what's good just by carefully studying human nature and seeing what makes people thrive. But is that really enough? Can just carefully observing how things are in the world truly tell us how they ought to be? Or does a belief in universal right and wrong require something more? Something that goes beyond our immediate experience? Something maybe a little closer to Plato's ideals? That's the question their epic debate leaves for us to answer.